Hey girlfriends, and welcome to VLOGMAS Day 18, and I'm your girl, Lavinia Latham. Now, super shout outs to Pretty Brownie 1 for requesting this Hair Porosity 101 plus 5 easy hair porosity tests to figure out what your porosity is today. For those of you guys who don't really know what porosity is, what I'm referring to, it really is just about your hair's ability to retain and hold moisture. So there are 3 main types of porosity that we're going to talk about today. 1, low porosity, 2, normal porosity, and 3, high porosity. Now, starting with the low porosity curlfriends. If you've got low porosity hair, chances are likely that your hair has difficulties getting the moisture into the strands. Now, once the strands get that moisture, it's pretty much locked in. It's not going anywhere, but the issue is really getting it in. And the reason why your hair has issues getting the moisture into the strand is because your cuticle is shut right down. It is super closed. It doesn't like to let things in. It just remains closed. And so for that reason, when you do try to put moisture into your strands, you are going to find some difficulties trying to do so. Now, one of the greatest things about dealing with low porosity hair and really getting the moisture in is using heat. Heat has an amazing ability to be able to just blast open the cuticle and really force that moisture into the cuticle of the hair. And so for a lot of low porosity girls and guys, when they're using their hair products, they do so with heat. Now, one of the big things that you'll see here on Fine Natural Hair Rocks is a lot of usage of steam, a lot of usage of heat, just a lot of usage of, products in a more warmer context. And that's because I have low porosity hair. And so for me to really get any of these great products into my strands, I really do have to make sure that I use heat to kind of force those things in. Now, if you've got normal porosity hair, congratulations! That means that your hair easily gets in moisture and it retains a good amount of moisture without letting the moisture back out. Your strands have a good balance in terms of how the cuticle lays. It doesn't lay completely shut closed, but it doesn't stay completely open either. It kind of is somewhere in the middle. And so for you, if you are a medium porosity natural, or you are someone who has normal porosity strands, chances are likely that you're not really having any issues in terms of keeping moisture in or putting moisture into the strands. Now, let's talk about our high porosity curlfriends. High porosity curlfriends have cuticles that always stay open. So you will notice that when you put products onto your hair, the product really goes into your hair super easily. It really saturates the strands, but then it just kind of evaporates on out. And so another thing that you might notice is that your hair always feels excessively dry. No matter how much products you put on your hair is just always feeling dry. And the reason your hair is always feeling dry is because even though you put that moisture in, those cuticles being wide open means that, again, the moisture is just going to fall and evaporate right on out. So how do we really know what we're dealing with? Because when you have low porosity hair or high porosity hair and you don't really know what the issue is, both of them can look like moisture issues. For low porosity hair, as I mentioned earlier, the issue is that moisture is not getting into your hair, period. So you're applying product, it might be sitting on top of the strand, it's not going into the strand, and your hair is just feeling excessively dry. Same thing with high porosity hair, except the moisture goes in, it just doesn't want to stay there. So it's really important to know exactly what your issue is when it comes down to porosity, because it gives you a better understanding on how to not only use your products, but how to layer your products and how to really ensure that when you're applying your products to your natural hair, things are actually getting into the strand. Things are actually getting into your hair so that you can really enjoy moisture balanced hair. Now, all that's good, but how do we even figure out what our porosity is? Especially if you really don't know any of this and you're super new to this entire streets. So let's just jump on into the first test. As you'll see in the clip now, I am filling up a glass of water. In this glass, I'm going to drop a hair into the glass to see whether or not my hair is going to float. Now, this is called the float test. The float test is there's a bit of a debate going on within the natural hair community. Scientists like to say that it's kind of junk science because your hair naturally has sebum on it, which is a type of oil, And oil, when added to water, floats. So the idea is that no matter what you do, you are certainly going to have a situation where your hair is floating on top of this water. Now, I personally am not able to add my actual strands to my water right now, only because I'm actually in a protective style and all of my strands are really inside of these faux locks at the moment. However, if my strands were here, I would certainly take one clean strand, drop it on top, and then sit and let this wait. You want to let your water wait for about 5 to 6 minutes to see whether or not the water is going to cause your hair strand to either stay at the top, which would mean you have low porosity hair, so the water is not getting into your strands at all because that cuticle is shut right close. It might go in the middle of the water because you've got medium porosity hair, and so your hair is naturally moisture balancing itself. It takes in just enough moisture that it needs, but doesn't take in too much. Or it might sink all the way to the bottom of the glass of water, which is high porosity hair. Your cuticles are wide open, they take in as much water as they can until they can't take any more water in at all before finally dropping to the bottom of the glass. If you're kind of leery about this science method, you're kind of like, you know, I don't really like that. Like, I don't like junk science, I'm not into this, I want something a little bit more clear cut. Then you can certainly use what I call the Q&A method. The Q&A method is essentially asking yourself questions like, you know, does my hair build up? When I have a wash day every week, do I feel like there's a lot of buildup on my strands? If you feel there's a lot of buildup on your strands, or you apply product to your hair and it just tends to, like, you know, cake up on itself, it doesn't really tend to go into the strands, then chances are likely you've got low porosity hair. Another question that you can ask yourself is, does my hair dry really, really fast after moisturizing? Does it feel like every single time I apply product to my hair, it doesn't matter how much product to my hair I apply, it just always feels dry? If that's you, then chances are likely you've got high porosity hair. And if none of those options apply to you, then congratulations, you've got medium porosity hair. Super easy test number 3 is what we call the absorption test. So think about when you go and you do your wash day. When you jump into the shower, are you in a situation where you have to literally drench your hair with a bunch of water, sit there for 5 to 6 minutes, and still, you know, your hair doesn't really feel as if it's like truly soaking wet? If that's you, then chances are likely you've got low porosity hair. If, on the other hand, you're the natural who jumps into the shower and your hair literally just soaks up the water, is super drenched almost immediately, then chances are likely that you've got high porosity hair. Again, if neither options really apply to you and you're somewhere in the middle where, you know, it's a reasonable amount of time for your hair to get soaked and, you know, your hair isn't necessarily soaking, dripping wet immediately upon touch of water, then chances are likely you've got medium porosity hair. The fourth test that I'd like to share with you guys is the strand test. So the strand test is essentially taking a strand of hair, in my case I'm going to take a lock, and you want to go ahead and run your hand up the shaft of your hair. If when you're running your hand up the shaft of your hair, it feels quite bumpy, then chances are likely that you've got high porosity hair, because you're running your hands up the strand and you're literally feeling your bumpy open cuticles that are wide open and just letting in all of the moisture, letting in all of the product. If that feels bumpy once again, then chances are likely you've got high porosity hair. Now, if you run your fingers up the strands and it feels like smooth, super smooth, then chances are likely that you've got low porosity hair. And the reason why chances are likely that you've got low porosity hair in that instance is because, again, your cuticle is closed shut. There's absolutely nothing to feel because everything is closed shut. So whether you go down the shaft or you go up the shaft, you're gonna feel smoothness, and that is a very strong indication that you've got low porosity hair. The fifth and final way to determine whether or not you've got high, low, or medium porosity hair is to really just pay attention to the way your products go into your strands. So if, for example, you apply product to your strands and it goes into the hair really quickly, but then literally a few seconds to a minute later it just feels super dry like you did nothing, chances are likely you've got high porosity hair. If you're one of those naturals who really have to apply lightweight products to your strands, anything heavy like a butter or you know, anything that really just sits on top of the hair and is meant to keep moisture in leads to buildup for you, then chances are likely you're a low porosity natural. So again, if you have issues with buildup, that's a strong indication that chances are likely you've got low porosity hair. Now, if when you apply products to your hair, your moisture lasts all day, you don't necessarily see any buildup, it's not evaporating off of the strands, then chances are likely that you've got medium porosity hair. Curlfriends, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're enjoying Vlogmas and you want to see more, then definitely go ahead and hit that link right there. Also, if you like Find Natural Hair Rocks and you want to see more, you should know that I post new videos, usually outside of Vlogmas, about 2 to 3 times per week, and we will be resuming that schedule as of January. Another update from Find Natural Hair Rocks, go ahead and hit the link right there if you want to be a part of our 1,000 subscriber giveaway, where I will be giving away a luxurious hair care line to one lucky curl friend, which is the Curl Origin Honey and Hibiscus collection. And that giveaway is going to be open only for the duration of the rest of this month. So if you haven't joined the giveaway yet, then definitely click that link right there and join ASAP, because those products are literally amazing. Thank you so much for watching. Pretty Brownie One, thank you so much for requesting this video. If you guys want to check out Vlogmas Day 19, then definitely go ahead and check out this playlist. For Vlogmas Day 19, you guys chose to know exactly how I achieve blemish-free skin, whether it's winter, summer, spring, fall, whatever. So definitely stay tuned for Vlogmas Day 19, where I'm going to be sharing my top 10 tips on how to keep your skin blemish-free this winter. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.